But first of all, we've got the guys from the Indie Stone who are going to be showing Project Zomboid with a little bit of help from Mr. Spiffo.
Yeah, hi everyone. There's quite a few people here. We were kind of expecting to just be talking to, I don't know, 3 people and a dog, and here you are. Thank you very much. We're kind of terrified. Today, we're going to be taking you on a magical adventure through how not to make a game, and quite possibly how not to do a presentation. Just so we have a general idea, how many people here have either played Project Zomboid or can know the gist? Jeez, holy shit. Okay, right, we're playing to a home crowd. Anyone from the forums here? Got a couple? Oh, okay. Well, don't throw anything just yet. Hopefully everything will be fine. Okay, right, so let's introduce ourselves. And what order are we doing this in? Yeah, okay, we're not doing it in that order because we changed it, sorry. So, Andy, you're first.
Yeah, I'm Andy Hodgetts, or Captain Binky, and we were going to do little interesting facts about ourselves.
Fascinating facts. What's your fascinating fact, Andy?
Probably that out of all of us, I was the one who didn't go to the loo before this.
Okay. Okay. Mash, who are you, and what is your fascinating fact?
Okay, I'm Marina Sue Chung, also known as Mashed Potato. My fascinating fact is I've been attacked by birds on 2 separate occasions.
And Chris?
I'm Chris Simpson. I'm programmer on the project, and my interesting fact is I'm shitting a brick live on stage.
And I'm Will Porter, and my interesting fact is that even though I don't have a nickname, they call me the Velvet Owl at Eurogamer for no apparent reason, and because they're idiots. Okay, this is what our game looks like, but then again, most of you already know that, and that's quite scary. It's a zombie apocalypse roleplay game in which your death is inevitable, and the following is quite a fun live-action teaser trailer made by a nice man called Josh from Montana. And hopefully it'll go, and hopefully the sound's going to work. Yes, hurrah.
Day 6 of the quarantine of Knox counties, and Clinton had released a statement asking for calm and patience, calling a do-nothing agenda. A fly zone firmly in place, with no clue as to the nature of the outcome. However, pictures released by U.S. forces show crowded streets, suggesting that, despite it all, the townsfolk of Madral are still living as normal.
Over. And now away we go. Okay. Oh, hello. This is our friend, the Spiffo, the community raccoon, and he's going to be helping us out with a few do and don't tips that well, they're not really for all indie development because quite a few of the things that happen to us. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. So the first tip from Spiffo is do go indie, which is the point where we talk a little bit about Chris and Andy's kind of X-Men style origin story in the various console commercial kind of development studios up north. So Andy, take it away.
Yeah, well, in our experience anyway, the commercial games industry was pretty depressing. You know, as an artist or a coder, you're basically, even if you're a senior person, you're still responsible for a pretty tiny little part of the entire game. You don't really have any control over it, and so if you're working on a turkey, you know it, and you hate it, but you can't do anything about it. And so really, it's not really what you wanted to do when you're a kid and you want to make games. You want to make the game. You don't want to make a character for a game or write the code that makes cars explode or place health packs in a level somewhere. So it's basically, yeah, we didn't like it. And the thing is as well, is you hear it said nowadays, you never used to hear it said, that making games is a job now. It's just a job. And it isn't just a job. And I hate it when people say that. So, go indie.
Yeah, and like the indie industry now is basically the commercial games industry that we wanted to get into when we were kids, because back then the commercial games industry was more bedroom coders. You know, you made your game, you put it on the tape, you took it down to W.H. Smith's or whatever, and we looked up to people like Sensible Software with John Hare and all that business, and basically, once we got into the industry, we got rather disillusioned because we thought we'd missed it, and we never got the opportunity to be part of that industry. But we finally managed to do that by going indie, and I'm very proud of it. So.
Yes, I mean, so everyone knows what sort of some of the games you guys worked on. Chris worked on Stuntman and Driver 3, otherwise known as Driv 3.
I'll get out.
And he worked on. I keep on calling it Darkwind Defender of the Crown, but actually Darkwind and Defender of the Crown.
They're two games. You keep
and
calling them
one
game.
I'm the worst PC journalist in the world, and I'm sorry. And Chris also coded an entire FPS on his own called Demon Summoner.
Yeah.
Looked like this. And it was really, really shit.
I'm particularly proud of that one. It's like a rite of passage at the place we worked, where every programmer must have their soul destroyed by being put on their own as a programmer on a budget first-person shooter with about 2 enemy types, about 3 weapons, and 4 levels or something. And that's just another reason why we went indie in the end.
So, leading on to the first indie project. Oh no, hang on, wait a minute, I've gone over one. We're talking about mods first. What, you guys found Sanctuary through mods?
I thought you were the prepared one.
Oh, sorry. Tell me about mods.
We had jobs we didn't really enjoy very much, and so this was our little creative outlet, basically, which was find games that were actually competently made and mod them. And so we did the Sims mods and Civilization mods and stuff, although that one never came out. The Sims one was actually quite appropriate for the zombie stuff, because it was kind of story progression stuff. It was imbuing, well, basically we were turning the Sims into a soap opera. So it was just a bit of structure to it and everything. But this one was kind of like a religion mod, which we never finished. And as it turns out, the Gods and Kings expansion came out and would have made it redundant anyway.
They ripped us off.
Cool. So then, the slide I thought we were going to was this one. This is the first indie project. It's called Pause. Never actually came out. But this is also kind of like, we can see the lovely art of MASH, of Marina. So it's as good a time as good a time as ever, MASH. If you could tell us how you got involved with these guys.
Well, I was, unlike Chris and Andy, I was not involved in the proper industry, so I'm still unscathed or unspoiled by that inexperience. So I was making games on my own. I was using a Adventure Game Studio to make adventure games, and then so I met them on a game development forum, and we started talking, became friends, and then I started working with them. So Pause was the first major game we worked on together. We were very close to finishing it, but didn't quite get there.
We may come back to it later, though, like in 10 years when we finish.
Well, Spiffo is now like, A, he's our community raccoon, obviously, and B, he's also the mascot of the fast food restaurants in Project Zomboid in Knox County. So, you know, we're keeping to our roots. But the development of this was kind of curtailed when this came along, which was Privates with lovely Dan Marshall of Zombie Cow, then now Size 5 Games, and it won a BAFTA.
Apparently.
Won a BAFTA. I don't know, I just want to give a quick overview of what you did in it?
Yeah, I mean, it was basically it was a Channel 4 commissioned educational or sex educational game, and Chris did all the code for it, I did all the art for it, and it was pretty tight budget. Originally, it was going to be a little daft 2D flash game or something, and we sort of said, well, do it as a proper game.
But where was it set?
It was set in the ladies and gentlemen's bits. Yes. And basically it was very, very accurate. We had the escalators and lampposts and little neon lights inside and stuff.
Pointing at the vulva.
Yeah, there was a lot of very accurate research that went into it.
Okay, so, and after that, we ended up at the next Spiffo tip, which is Don't end up penniless. What was the situation post-Privates?
Well, basically, because Privates was a free educational game, obviously there wasn't any money to be made post the game coming out. While it was a massively worthwhile experience working on it, we at the end of it, we suddenly realised that we had no money to pay the rent. We didn't have anything else on the go. We thought, might pick up pause, but then is there really the market on Xbox Live indie games at the moment? We couldn't, and basically, so yeah, we panicked. So we then put something on our blog.
Yeah, we were literally on bread and beans for weeks, and that was all we could afford. We had no money for rent, and it was just beans.
So, I have a good idea at the right time. Oh, hello. Oh, okay. So, this is what was developed internally. This is the first mock-up of a game that was originally called Dead Territory. Andy, why zombies?
Well, the thing is obviously anyone who's watched any zombie film ever has had exactly this idea. It's just it occurs to everybody. You know, everyone sits around and discusses their own plans for a zombie apocalypse, and probably is asked the question, why the hell doesn't that game exist? You know, and there are things like it, like Rogue Survivor and games like that, but none which are very authentic to the Romero, Max Brooks zombies. So, yeah, it's the game everyone wants to make, and we just thought, well, we'll do it, really, I guess.
And that also then sort of queued quite into alpha funding.
Yes. Because that's the thing. I mean, it's a pretty sizable project, especially. We're doing it in 2D, which is sort of cutting it down a little bit. But it's a sort of size of project that you'd never be able to fund it in any way other than alpha funding. I mean, you'd
well, for a small team.
You'd either have to have a very, very large team or have a very large amount of money. But we've got neither of those things. So instead, it was kind of, let's just make some screenshots and hope for the best.
Which leads neatly into, hello. That one, learn from awesome people like Notch.
Yes.
There he is.
Well, obviously the idea of crowdfunding and alpha funding, I'm not entirely sure Notch actually invented this, but what he did do is he thrust it in everyone's face, and like with the success of Minecraft, this is how the idea occurred to us, and it probably wouldn't have otherwise. So we tried to take a few lessons from Notch outside making a rip-off cube voxel-based game like certain other people. We
did consider that for a while, though, didn't we?
We actually did. I forgot about that. But basically, it was different, though. But basically, to try and take like the underlying lessons of why Minecraft was successful beyond the actual game itself, which it mainly is obviously the alpha funded angle, but also user-created content in terms of the story. So everyone's game is different. It's a sandbox, and people can put it on YouTube, and people read about it on YouTube. And we think YouTube's probably the biggest success factor when it came to spreading the word.
So these were the images that appeared just literally on the IndieStone blog. And then I don't know if you guys have heard of it, but there's a site called Reddit, and they kind of liked it. I mean, Andy, what happened next?
Yeah, well, we just had those pictures and a set of goals, basically. It was just a text document, and yeah, it kind of. We thought maybe if we were lucky, we might get enough to stop eating beans, or at the very least be able to pay the next month's rent. But we just got inundated, and the traffic broke the servers, and we just weren't set up for this or prepared for it, and we were kind of taking donations, but we were processing all that stuff manually because we thought, oh, we'll get one or two or something, it'll be fine, and we were getting too many to handle. That it was a case of the time it took us to actually do one. In the time that would take, about 2 more things would come through, so we were getting further and further behind, and we couldn't ever sleep because we'd end up with a huge backlog, and so Chris would do some, and then he'd go just get a couple of hours sleep, and I'd take over, and then I'd get a couple of hours sleep, and we were just kind of.
We didn't see each other for.
We didn't. No, and we were trying to get the game written. It was all our time was spent doing this, just emails and things to everybody. So and it got to the point where we were incredibly excited by it, but another bit of exposure would happen. Like we saw it would come onto Kotaku and they'd do a news story about it, and we just thought, oh no.
That was the first mental breakdown.
That was the first mental breakdown. The first of many mental breakdowns.
So, right, we're on to the mental breakdown section. Oh, hang on. Well, after that one. Don't blindly trust that PayPal loves you. So, hooray! Everyone liked Project Zomboid, at least the idea of it at that point. But corporate money boxes like PayPal weren't all that comfortable with hundreds of people donating cash to something that didn't actually exist yet, which led to frozen funds, desperation, and pain. We should have seen that one coming.
Yeah, really. But the trouble was, to be fair to us, firstly, we didn't think we were going to get quite so much exposure so rapidly, and so we didn't think they'd actually notice. And then the stuff about the donations, it is in the terms and conditions, in these enormous terms and conditions, it's buried in there somewhere. But you see, there's thousands of websites which have these little buttons on the screen. You just think, well, it's fine, isn't it? Everyone does that, it's fine, but apparently not.
So, we needed a get-around. So, how did you guys wangle your way through? Basically, the thing was that people would actually pay for a real game, and it would just be a really, really shit game, and then you get Project Zomboid for free. Hurrah! These were the games. That's Doctoroids. That one's I think that one's called Stand on Top of the Other Guy, but be bigger.
Yeah.
And then for £15, this is Rock, Paper, Scissors, the text adventure.
This one, the droids did get mods, though. We had mods for that.
Skin packs.
There you go. Okay, the next one's a weird one, and it's also quite a tragic one, but we can't really not talk about it because it was one of the most bizarre things that happened to the team. But basically, someone next door had turned his flat into a bomb factory, and then very sadly he did actually die. But it was. Well, it was just odd, wasn't it? It was. I mean, Andy, what happened on that day?
Yeah, we'd been up sort of for about 48 hours or something stupid, trying to get things written.
Yeah, so about 3 days before the first version was due to be released.
Yeah, so we hadn't had any sleep, and I think we'd finally crawled into bed at about sort of 5 or 6 in the morning, and then hammered. And you wake up in the with there's a policeman looming over your bed, and he's telling you you've got to evacuate immediately, and you think, what the hell? And so we sort of bleary-eyed wandered downstairs, and you get out the flat, and it looks like the scene from 28 Days Later or something. There's just abandoned cars everywhere and eerie silence, and you just think, good God, the zombie apocalypse has actually happened. And so we had no idea what was going on. No one would tell us, and we found out from BBC News 24 because we just trundled off to the latest pub and found out we couldn't get back to the flat for 3 days, and we didn't have our laptops or anything, and we just thought, great, brilliant.
I got quoted in The Sun.
So anyway, moving on to happier climes. Make a demo that sells your intentions. It's important to know as well that at this stage, our friend Nick, who's somewhere back there, was kind of integral to it all as well. So, and also, this is where I kind of appeared on the scene. I used to work on PC Zone, and I now just do various writing for places like Eurogamer, a few bits and bobs for Rock Paper Shotgun every now and again when they let me. And at the time I'd just come off the back of doing some pre-production work on some like AAA games for London studios, but they're about to get published, and they've got published. It's quite a familiar story, really. So I was a bit annoyed with the way the games were as well. So I kind of threw my chips in with indie and never looked back. Well, not often, anyway. So this, if it's going to go. Is it going to go? Are you going to go?
It'll go. It's
going, hurrah. This is the demo we put out with a vaguely ominous opening crawl. Andy, what can you say about the demo and the horrible things we did in it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, really, it was just it's a case of we were trying to do something that served as a tutorial and also served as a story. that also then was acted as sort of like a mission statement for the game. So the sorts of things you could expect to see. Has this gone wrong? Yay! Excellent. So,
Spoiler.
Is that going?
yeah, and so then that happened.
Let's just pretend that we all watched it.
We all know
so
that
yeah, that's
anyway.
a spoiler. Sorry, Kate can die.
Yeah, so this was our technique of skipping the tutorial that caught quite a few people surprised when they thought, well, I'll just give her a pillow to be comfortable and then smothered to death. But we liked, we didn't tell anybody that was what was going to happen, and we liked the fact that people weren't expecting it to happen because it's the sort of bleakly depressing, horrible thing that you're going to get quite a lot of. So we thought it was a pretty interesting way of tutorial skipping, better than pressing escape.
Oh, yeah.
And another important person that we found along the way was this guy, lovely Zach Beaver. Hooray, he's lovely. And he is a musical prodigy, we believe. And yeah, he's just amazing. And the amount that his work has done for our game just cannot be overemphasized. And the scariest thing was when he wrote all the music, well, all the music that you'll hear in current builds, he was only 16 years old. And yeah, so we might have broken some US employment laws, but we're not gonna dig too deep into that one. So next up, Spiffo says, get something out there. And this was the release of build 0.1.5. Is that going to play?
Yeah.
Yes, it's playing. So this was the introduction of more of a sandboxing mode to complement the tutorial. And I think at this point is where we ought to talk about the help that we got from the lovely people at Desura, who kind of got us out of a bit of a hole, didn't they, really?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's like a Steam-like service for indie games, and they understood the concept of alpha-funded games and the way that would be distributed and everything. So, on the one hand, you've got PayPal and Google that were doing a good cop, bad cop routine of who's going to be freezing our money that time, and then they'd switch around. But Desura just came in and were really helpful and sorted everything out, and they were great.
Guys, we've really selected a really dull bit. There's a guy just hitting a door. Sorry about that. There are zombies in our game.
Is it barricaded?
Yeah, he's trying
to
figure out how to take the barricade down.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Never mind.
The early versions are just full of spelling mistakes as well.
Okay. No worries. Okay, so now...
there you go, you figured it out now. There you go.
Hey. So everything was perfect. We were all happy. We had money to make the game of our dreams. We were all on rainbows and flying unicorns, and everything was kind of grand. But then, the following happened. We're just going to go through these slides in maybe some horrified silence. Oh, okay. Okay. So this is what we refer to as the incident. It wasn't our finest hour, and it led to a great deal of trauma and depression for the team. And we think it's something that we can perhaps beg sympathy for, if not forgiveness. The facts of the matter were that basically the team returned home late one night, having got a bit drunk, celebrating the move to a flat in the middle of Newcastle. And someone, we presume another tenant in the same building, had seen the guys moving in early in that day and had proceeded to kick through the fire door and steal credit cards and laptops. Partly due to heads being buried too deep elsewhere, and partly due to the move and a temporary lack of internet, the game hadn't been backed up online in 2 months, and instead had been backed up between the two laptops. Reading from Discovery, the internet was informed via Twitter, and the internet's Eye of Sauron needled in on us, and we became enemy number one. Someone on Reddit and elsewhere, we were fraudsters, criminals, and in the chaos, we all bit back. But then it turned out that the internet really can bite back harder.
Yeah, you always, every now and then, you'll see somebody somewhere having a bit of a pop, and it's just like getting stabbed in the heart, really.
Yeah, because basically we'd invited internet trolls to set up camp in our forum and in our Twitter feeds, and even now when the name of our game pops up online, it's generally associated with months of our lives that we'd rather forget. But it's something you've got to accept really, because it's happened, and it'll be associated with us. At GDC this year, someone described something almost happening, and he said, "Oh, we almost got zomboided," and I think that's, it's going to be with us, And the community was damaged by wounds that we'd really self-inflicted, and some of us became seriously depressed. And I'm talking about myself there for one. I can't talk for the others, but it was really, really dark.
Yeah, it's hard because I was in Canada at the time, so. Also, you're seeing all these things happening on the internet, and you can't really do anything. You kind of feel kind of trapped. But most of all, when all this happening, most I want to do is just give that guy a hug, because it's just that's all that's all you want to do, because there's nothing you can do other than hopefully just try to provide some support.
I guess the silver lining is we might have stopped this happening to other people in the future, because it's such a public downfall that. There was a few quite high-profile indie developers who were tweeting afterwards. Right, I think I'm going to make an off-site backup. So, yeah.
So anyway, so that happened. So this is where, in our heads, we'd like to start playing, like the Rocky theme tune. Da-da-da. Anyway, so yeah, don't lose faith. Think of your fans, because we did have, amongst it all, we did some amazing support, really nice emails, people telling us that that they knew that we'd keep on going, and come back better than before. And this next thing is going to be like the trailer for our upcoming 0.2.0 version. Everything that's in it is currently playable in public test builds on the forum. Hopefully it's going to work, the sound's going to work. Why aren't you going?
Did you press it again?
And that's the trailer.
End on a high.
Help.
Peter Molyneux can wait, can't he?
Right. Hey.
Okay. Muted. Unmute.
There you go. Thank you. Very kind. So, quick guys, I'm just going to speed through a couple because we're running out of time a bit, and I know you want to talk about the mods. So, cool. So next up, remember the game isn't just you, because we really want to mention, since this began, there's a lot of people that could have become part of the part of the thing with us. Obviously, there's Nick, who we mentioned earlier, and also with him is Paul Ring, otherwise known as Ringo D. Sorry. He was our kind of YouTube hero, and now he's part of the team with us and working with me and putting dialogue and stuff in. And there's Josh in Montana, who did those amazing trailers for us. Matt and Dan in Chicago, who host the All Things Zomboid podcast. AFK, who does our awesome concept art, which, you know, he's just supremely talented. Marcus in Australia, who helps us with our tech support. Adric in Canada, who helps with recipes and balancing. Zach, the music man, who we mentioned earlier on. All of our special infected testers. And we've now also got Zomboid fan and community sites in France, Germany, Poland, and Russia. I think Brazil too. And Brazil, apparently. And so, yeah, it's just a bit, we don't want to say this thing as a kind of oh wow, look what we got. We just want to say this happened in a year, and bloody hell, that's just mental. But the other final thing we want to talk about is modding and the players being our future, because the stuff that's already on the forums is just quite remarkable. And I know you guys wanted to finish off on this. Yeah, well, coming from a modern background ourselves, we knew how important modding can be to a community and to a game, to increase its life and to give the community more involvement with the game. And sadly, in the commercial industry, we've seen this kind of shrink a bit because of the prevalence of DLC. It seems, I'm not accusing, but it seems like some publishers are kind of reining in the modding potential and which is a massive shame. But we're hoping that with DayZ's success, they might start to rethink that, and it's modding is brilliant, basically.
Yeah, I mean, we're such a tiny team. There's only so many of us, and we've got this mad list of things to get through, and we can only do it in one at a time in a certain order. And the great thing for us is the fact that, like say with the farming or the reloading stuff,
or making a cow.
Yeah, you know, someone can look at this list of things we want to do and say, well, I'm not prepared to wait however long it takes them to get around to doing this. I'm going to do it myself, and that's the beauty of having these tools in there now.
Cool. So to ask the audience if they have any questions. And we can only do one question.
One amazing question.
That's all right, don't worry, we have everyone. So, any one questions?
There's too much pressure now.
Well, we can. There's one there. Sorry? It's the multiplayer question! Hey, guys! When's multiplayer coming?
Next week, no. It's slowly been bumped up the priority list since we started. It's such a requested feature that as soon as we get something that feels solid and complete, and the modding community have started to expand the world far beyond what we can, and once we've hit some, we've already got some very, very preliminary code in there, but it's still quite a way off. But we're going to go as soon as possible because we know that's when it'll really, hopefully, explode, you know, as it did with Minecraft.
Yeah. And I think we'd all just like to say, I mean, we'd like to thank you for coming to see us, because we really didn't expect many people want to listen to us, and it means a lot to us that you're here, basically. So thank you very much.